Hey, so I'm about ready to practice classical guitar at my sister's house, but I had this thought in my mind, this reoccurring thought that I wanted to pass along. And this is something that Mick Goodrick talked about when I was around him. This idea that a lot of times the problems we have in music are the same problems we have in life. And the great classical guitar player David Russell also talked about a flavor of this, a version of this. And when I think about that statement, this idea, um, what mostly comes to mind is listening. So that's an area that I think everyone can improve at. And it's certainly the most important skill we have as musicians. You know, one of the things that is most difficult about playing jazz, for instance, is the fact that it requires so much knowledge of music, knowledge of the fingerboard, knowledge of tonalities, harmonic structures. You know, it just requires kind of everything to play the music. And so you really have to get to a point where you have all of the knowledge at such a deep level that you don't have to consciously think about it, so that you can just listen. And with classical guitar, the thing that's most difficult is the technical aspects of it. The instrument itself is very technically demanding. I've talked about this before, but you know, like Pat Martino, the jazz guitar player, his high E string was a 15, which, as we know, as electric guitar players, a 15 is very heavy, right? The high E string on this guitar is a 28. You know, and yeah, so I mean, just the strings themselves are very challenging. And if I showed you the action on this, you would notice that it's extremely high compared to most, you know, compared to any electric guitar that I've ever come across. Very high. And the fingerboard itself is beefy. And so just the instrument itself is very technically demanding. But the main point is that to get to where you can play classical music well, you have to get the technical aspects down so at such a high level so that you can just focus on listening. And what David Russell talked about was concentration. He highlighted the fact that, you know, you're not going to go from not having much concentration in life to magically having a bunch of being able to concentrate well when playing music. So listening and concentration, I think those two areas are two areas that we kind of regularly have to be working on and really should work on for the rest of our lives. I mean, I can't think of a great musician that isn't a great listener. I think that ultimately is what makes a great musician, is their ability to listen. So whether you're having a conversation with someone, or you're listening to music, or you're listening to yourself playing, try to listen deeper, more intently, with more concentration. And the more you regularly work on this, it'll get better, and you'll be able to listen deeper and concentrate better and concentrate for longer periods of time. You know, some of the pieces I play on classical guitar, which I plan on playing some classical pieces on the channel here. I have severe imposter syndrome at the moment. You know, it's going to take a while for me to feel like I really have something to say on the classical guitar, but plan on doing that in the future. But yeah, I have pretty severe imposter syndrome, so I have to get over that one. I just have so much respect for the music that, you know, I'm not inclined to play Bach, for instance, although I did play one Bach piece in one of my previous videos. And, you know, I did make a YouTube video before called Think So You Don't Have to Think, which is related to this. You know, that's a huge part of what I work on, which I talked about in that video, is just listening. You know, every time I'm practicing jazz, that's mostly what I work on is listening, becoming a better listener. And it informs how I phrase, it informs how I shape my ideas, it informs my swing feel, it informs how I connect to the time. So it's a really deep aspect of ourselves to always be working on and to develop. And yeah, just thought I'd pass that along. Hope that was helpful.